Well, Gorbie came to us from the Humane Society in November 2014, and when he came in right away, I noticed that his right front leg was, he was not putting any weight on it, he was much weaker, and I noticed quite a bit of muscle atrophy. He had quite a bit of swelling and sensitivity at his elbow joint. When we did x-rays on him, it was obvious that he had a very nasty fracture of the distal portion of his humerus. And it was obvious that that fracture had been there for, I would estimate, 4 to 6 weeks, especially because of the severity of the muscle atrophy that had already occurred. In other words, he was not using the leg, and the muscles were getting weaker and thinner, more atrophied. When we took the x-rays, I immediately thought either that he was going to require quite a bit of extensive orthopedic surgery because there was quite a bit of damage at the joint, or even as early when I first saw those x-rays, I said one solution might be to amputate his leg. We did have one of our second-year students, Caroline, who adopted him, and she wanted to try some conservative treatments, so we did put him on some anti-inflammatory drugs to provide him with a little medication to give him some relief from pain, and we put him on some chondroitin sulfate, glucosamines to try to be protective to the cartilage of his joint. Over the Christmas holidays, over December and into early January, his pain worsened. So we saw him. I saw him again in mid-January. We repeated the x-rays, and it was very obvious to me that there was a great deal of displacement of the humerus. It was actually splitting down into the fracture site, and I recommended that about all we could do was amputation. So in early February, and I don't recall the date off the top of my head, but in early February we did amputate his right foreleg. It was done at the shoulder joint, and I just knew right away before I even talked about surgery that this dog had a great attitude, that it was going to be really important for him to be successful, to be able to manage on 3 legs. Dogs can do well on 3 legs, but it is important for them to have a good attitude. A dog puts 60% of their weight on their front leg, so Gorbie does have quite a bit of stress on his one good leg that's left, his left front leg. He's doing magnificently, he gets around with it, and at this point he is essentially pain-free. I have emphasized to Caroline that it's really important that she not let him get fat. We don't want him to be carrying extra weight on his front leg. So I think she'll continue to do that, but he's fairly active, and at this point I have no restrictions on his activities.
Yay! It smells out here. Out here in the sunshine, I can see he's got a little bit of Yay!
Thank you.
You're welcome. What a good boy. We're glad we fixed you up, buddy. We're glad we fixed you up. Oh.